Well, first tonight, a British-Israeli family were trapped for 9 hours with a 10-year-old baby as Hamas terrorists burnt down their house and ransacked their town close to the Gaza border. Deborah Mintz, originally from Romford in Essex, hid in the tiny room with her grandson Kai and his parents Aimee and Uriel Labban. I'm pleased to say they're all safe and well now, and that all of them now join me live. Well, welcome to all of you. Thank you so much. I can't even imagine what you've been through. So let me say that off the top of this interview. Deborah, let me start with you. For you, this must have been like a nightmare happening in real time.
Yeah. Even as I look back, I find it very hard to believe that I was actually there. Yeah, it's something in my wildest dreams I never thought would happen to me.
Deborah, tell the audience, as best you can remember, exactly what did happen.
First of all, I want to apologise that we're coughing because of smoke inhalation. So that's the first thing I want to say. We were woken up about 6:30, and I'm not 100% on timing. It was about 6:30. There was a red siren alert. My daughter and her husband and the baby were sleeping in the secure room, a bunker, I suppose you'd call it, with a steel door. And she screamed at me, "Mum, Mum, come, there's a siren." So I picked myself up out of bed. My little dog wouldn't come with me. He was afraid. We picked up the big dog and off I went into the room. We closed the door. Now this room is to protect from rockets. It's a concrete reinforced room with a steel door and a steel window. After about an hour, we heard gunfire outside, and we realized it took us time, but eventually we realized that we were under attack. My daughter has security cameras in her tiny little house, and she looks on her phone and she screamed at me, "Mum, Mum, the terrorists are in the house, they've entered the house." And she and her husband, with all their might, kept the handle of the steel door upright. So this isn't a door that locks from inside and that's it. It's a door to protect you from rockets, not from invaders and intruders. And they couldn't get us out. They were shooting at the door. So they set fire to the house. They switched off the electricity, so we lost camera vision. And the smoke started coming under the steel door into the little, very small room where we were. Because there was no electricity, there was no air, and the window was closed. And from that point, we knew, yeah, that's their house. We knew we were not going to survive. But from the grace of God, I don't know how. Every time we believed that the terrorists were not around the house, that they'd gone to another house, we opened the window, we picked the baby up, we put the baby on the windowsill, we all got some fresh air, heard the terrorists, threw the baby on the bed, closed the steel window, held the door, and we did this for about 6 hours. The room was completely filled with smoke, thick black soot. During this time, well, very early when they first started the fire, I think the worst thing was we heard my little dog scream as she burned to death. And I think I pretty much gave up after that. But for the sake of the baby, you try.
Yeah.
And then when we heard, well, both the kids were on the phone, once Uriel to his brother, Aimee to the fire brigade, but they couldn't get to us. They just couldn't get through the roads. And 6 hours in smoke, pretty much 9 hours from when it started, we heard Hebrew outside and gunfire and more Hebrew. And then somebody called out, "Uriel," and we said, we're here. And the army came, secured the house, and got us out through the window. Obviously, the baby first. We were taken to an underground shelter where other people soon followed, but we heard horrible stories of other people being shot and disappearing. And eventually, because still the ambulances couldn't get in and we'd all been in a fire, we were taken by the army to the hospital, which was well over an hour away. And my daughter and her husband and baby Kai were released today, only today. And today is our reunion. I was released on Saturday night. They decided I was okay.
It's Deborah. Let me just say, Deborah, you tell that story. It's making my spine chill listening to what you've just said, and I'm just so glad that all of you are still alive. Let me come to you, Aimee. I mean, you must feel unbelievably fortunate to still be alive, given what you now know was happening all over the place to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know how he survived, how Kai, a 10-day-old baby, survived. But I guess it's, you find the strength to just protect your family, protect yourself. And we just did what we our instincts told us to do. My husband just stood by the window, and every time he could, he opened it. And we, as my mother said, we put the baby on the window ledge and tried to give him as much fresh air as possible. I mean, he was coughing us up just black spit and soot. And I mean, after being so many hours in smoke, I mean, we literally can't really see you or anything on the video because our eyes are burnt. Hopefully we'll get better. As the doctor said, it should get easier. Breathing troubles, loads of medications. But we survived. And
You
so
did.
many
I
people.
mean, it's miraculous that you've survived, and particularly with this tiny baby. Uriel, let me ask you, when this was going on, when you realised afterwards the scale of what had been happening, what is your response to this?
Actually, I can't believe that we were caught in this situation. I hope that the people responsible will give some answers, because I grew up in this area since I was 10 years old. We were used to, I mean, it's awful to say, but I'm used to rockets, to the sirens, to running to the bomb shelter from time to time, because after all these years, it became the reality where I live. But what happened to us this Saturday was in a whole other scale. And honestly, I didn't ever believe that we will go through something like this. It was something else. Never was something like that. I think since Israel's state was founded.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this is the worst. This is the worst slaughter of predominantly Jewish people since the Holocaust. I mean, there's no other way to describe this. Nearly 900 people or more now, apparently, were killed in this, and it's ongoing. Do you fear now? Let me ask you, Aimee, this. Do you fear that this is now going to be a raging war for some time to come? And what will you do as a family?
Well, I honestly don't know how to answer that. I mean, I hope we'll get through this. I hope it won't get any worse. We just are trying now to figure out what's next for us, and where we're going to live for, the next weeks, months, year. We literally just lost everything. I mean, I'm glad to say my dog managed to escape the safe room because we weren't allowed to take her with us. She somehow managed to escape and survive, and she was found and brought to us. So I am happy about that.
My dog, not so lucky.
No, I'm so sad. What was your dog's name, Deborah?
Mickey. He had big ears, like Mickey Mouse.
And
He
what was Mickey's breed?
Sort of like a little miniature Doberman pincher that barked a lot and slept by my feet. Here he is.
Yeah, that's it.
That's my Mickey.
I'm so sorry about Mickey. I'm so sorry about everything that's happened to you. I just want to say to all three of you, thank you for taking the time and trouble to speak to me in such open and graphic manner. I think you've really brought it home to people what it must have been like. Utterly terrifying. I'm so glad you're all still alive. I'm glad that little Kai's okay and you've had the treatment you need. And I wish you all the very best in rebuilding your lives because, like you say, everything's gone up, right? You have nothing. But I wish you all the very best and thank you for joining me.
Can I just mention something, please?
Yes.
That there is a GoFundMe set up to help Aimee and Uriel rebuild lives. I don't know how I'm supposed to.
Well, don't worry. I'll tell you what I'll do, Deborah. I will tweet that, and I've got over 8 million Twitter followers, so I'll make sure that we tweet that out, and so people can try and help you. Okay.
Your producer, thank you very, very much for having us.
Okay. Thank you all very much. I wish you all the very best, and thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quite extraordinary account there from people who are just very lucky to be alive.